These days, current events unfold on a dozen channels. Headlines all seem to be shouting, and good news can be as scarce as a moment to relax. So let's turn down the noise this summer, unplug just a little bit, and head to a shelter from the storms of life. The historic port city of Alpena, located on the Sunrise Shore of Michigan. Only a few hours drive, but miles away from the weight of the world. Nestled between a vast forest and an endless clear blue bay, where the wonders of nature are as welcoming as the local hospitality. We can explore more than 200 shipwrecks in the largest freshwater sanctuary anywhere. Count the stairs to the top of a lighthouse, or the masts that jut into the harbor sky at moonrise. Let's take a trip to the friendly, picturesque city of Alpena, a haven from the world that's pure Michigan. Your trip begins at michigan.org.
For your viewing pleasure, this broadcast of the Municipal Council meeting of Alpena is made possible by the funding provided by the City of Alpena. Thank you for your generosity.
Good evening and welcome to Alpena City Council meeting October 5th, 2015. Call to order, please.
Johnson? Here. Nielsen? Here. Nowak?
Here.
Sexton?
Here.
Walagora?
Here. Rise for the pledge. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
An opportunity to read the minutes for regular session September 21st, 2015 and closed session September 21st, 2015. Any issues, modifications, corrections? Thank you. Any modifications to the agenda this evening? Citizens appearing before council on agenda and non-agenda items are allowed 5 minutes each to address your concerns. This is the only time during a council meeting you're allowed to address your concerns, so if you would like, please come to the podium and state your name and address. No one is here.
Tonight.
Never know when staff might want to come out. The consent agenda this evening is bills to be allowed in the amount of $256,235.63.
I move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second. Go ahead.
Three to run.
Nielsen? Yes. Nowak?
Yes.
Sexton?
Yes.
Walagora?
Aye.
Johnson?
Yes.
Thank you. Presentations, announcements, proclamations, public hearings. Skip all the way down to 11. Report of officers. Updates to council on policy number 47, ACH and electronic transactions.
Just as I mentioned last time we met, that I am looking over some of our policies and updating them as we needed. And there are a few changes, and it's basically just protecting people's privacy. So the changes in red I'm asking to update on the policy number 47. We do use ACH all the time, both to bring money in and to take money out. I think the state doesn't even allow any other kind of transactions, so we're using it constantly.
Appreciate that you caught it. Move we adopt the changes to council policy 47.
Second. Nowak?
Yes.
Sexton?
Yes.
Walagora?
Aye.
Johnson?
Yes.
Nielsen? Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Karen. Communications and petitions. Redevelopment ready communities. Adam Paul.
Well, I'll give you a brief intro and I'll just turn it over to state representatives. But beginning of last year, for the last year, City of Alpena has been working with the Redevelopment Ready Communities Program, the RRC program, which has no cost to the city and it's designed by the MEDC to assist local municipalities in establishing a sound foundation for redevelopment and investment to occur in their communities. This program measures and then certifies the communities that they integrate transparency, predictability, and efficiency into their daily development processes. During the last year, staff from the RRC program have evaluated city procedures based on the best practices by experts in the public and private sector. Utilizing documents provided by city staff, they have generated a report letting us know what needs to be completed in order to meet their best practice goals. The report evaluates each practice using a color system, which Michelle is going to get into in a moment, and for all criteria, that basically it tells us whether we have a few things we need to update, if something's missing, or if we meet their standards. So the program is a benefit to the city as it allows us to evaluate our development practices all at once, and which helps strengthen areas of need. And upon receiving certification, less developers know exactly what to expect when they're looking to develop a potential project in the city of Alpena. The RRC team will also market various property development sites within the city of Alpena with their development contacts throughout the state. So the report was included, but I'm going to turn it over to Michelle from the RRC program, and she'll tell you a little bit about that.
Hi, my name is Michelle Parkinen. I'm a planner with the Redevelopment Ready Communities program at the MEDC, and I'm here tonight to review the report of findings. We'll go over the process so far, the report of findings, and then the next steps in the process. I'm also here with Dan Leonard, your Community Assistance Team Specialist from the MEDC. So I believe you have the report in front of you, so if you have any questions, feel free to let me know. So the mission of the RRC program and how it fits into the MEDC's community development is we're seeking to empower communities to shape their future and maximize their economic development potential by establishing a solid foundation for planning and zoning. This is good for businesses, and not only for businesses, but it's also good for the average citizen coming in to pull a permit. So, as Adam mentioned, measurement of each community to the RRC best practices is based on our research, meeting observations. We interview developers and staff and review all of your development materials. So, a community must demonstrate that all of the best practice criteria have been met or are green on your report card to achieve RRC certification. Roseville, Allegan, and East Point were all certified last year, and Lathrop Village will be certified coming up here, and we also have 2 more communities in the pipeline to be certified in the very near future. So over the next several slides, we'll review areas where the city of Alpena has really excelled and areas where there's still work to be done. So we've got, as Adam mentioned, the green, city is meeting that best practice criteria. Yellow, there may be something missing or outdated, and then red, something is completely missing. Okay, so the first best practice criteria, it evaluates community planning and how that redevelopment vision is embedded throughout the city's planning documents. Alpena's master plan was adopted in 2013, and it serves as the vision for the future, as expressed by community stakeholders. The plan outlines goals, objectives, and action items to implement the long-term vision for development. Priorities for action need to be identified, as well as the parties responsible for implementation. Best practice 1.2 assesses how well the city identifies and engages its stakeholders on a regular basis. While the city exhibits proactive public engagement efforts, a comprehensive public participation strategy must be developed, formalizing that process. And as you notice, 2.1, zoning regulations. We're looking at your city zoning ordinance and how it implements the goals of the master plan. The city is all green on this best practice criteria. One of the few communities that received all green after the initial assessment. Your zoning ordinance is in great shape. It's easy to use. It includes graphics, some flow charts. It's all hyperlinked. It's really well done. There's downtown design standards and guidelines that outline public streetscape elements and helps implement placemaking. It's just a really great document, and we actually use it as an example in our best practice training, so it's really well done. Best practice 3.1 evaluates the city's site plan review process. So documenting internal processes helps to ensure consistency over time, regardless of staffing. So an internal requirements checklist and flow chart should be developed outlining the development review process. The city should also develop a formal customer feedback mechanism to regularly evaluate that process and see where changes may need to be made. I will say that stakeholder interviews provided high praise for both staff as well as elected officials in working through the development process, indicating that everyone involved was willing to go the extra step to help get projects done. So it was really, really good feedback. Best practice 3.2 evaluates the accessibility of the community's planning and development information online. While many of the items required for the guide to development are available on the city's website, the city should update the website to include development applications, conceptual meeting procedures, and flowcharts to assist people with navigating that process. Best practice 4.1 evaluates how the city conducts recruitment and orientation for both elected and appointed officials and staff. Each board and commission has a dedicated page on the city's website and a description of the appointment process, residency requirements, agendas, minutes, other relevant information. So that effectively sets expectations for open positions. Once elected or appointed, city board and commission members receive orientation materials, setting the stage to assist the city with implementing goals. Best practice 4.2 assesses how a community encourages and tracks training for officials and staff. So newly elected and appointed officials and staff are provided with training, and attendance at additional training is strongly encouraged. But a simple mechanism to track that training information, the needs as well as attendance, is necessary, as turnover in officials and staff can create a gap in knowledge. Best practice 5.1 is the cornerstone of the program. It focuses on redevelopment ready sites. It assesses how the city identifies, visions, and then markets priority sites for redevelopment. The city has identified a list of priority sites for redevelopment. The next steps will be to gather basic information and establish a vision for each of those sites. Negotiable development tools, financial incentives, and in-kind support should also be identified. And then once the city has identified that information, it should be packaged into a property information package and then marketed online. Best practice 6.1 assesses goals and actions the city has identified to strengthen its overall economic health. Alpena has established strong relationships with community and regional partners, including Target Alpena. Economic development goals and objectives developed by Target Alpena should be updated for 2015-2016 to include implementation steps, also including timelines and responsible parties. Recent achievements should also be identified and reported out to the City Council. Best practice 6.2 assesses how the community promotes and markets itself and evaluates the user-friendliness of the city's website. The city's branding, development, and marketing action plan establishing Alpena as the sanctuary of the Great Lakes is comprehensive, and it strives to strengthen the image of the community, heighten awareness, and promote the city. It's really well done. We also use that as an example in our best practice trainings. The brand leadership team should be reestablished to take ownership of the plan and lead implementation. So next steps. Within 30 days, we ask that the City Council adopt a resolution to proceed with the program. So that's just saying that you will work to meet the best practice criteria that aren't currently being met and implement actions as outlined in the report. We also ask that the city staff complete quarterly progress reports so that the RRC team is kept in the loop on progress made towards certification. Also, staff should continue to provide you with regular updates. Overall, the city is doing great things. Once the city has met all of the best practice criteria, Alpena will be a certified redevelopment ready community. And we're often asked, what's the benefit of participating in the program? It's that, I'm already checking off the questions. All right, so it's that third party assessment of how you're doing as far as the development process. Do you have that planning and zoning foundation in place? And then do you have the steps outlined to complete projects in a timely manner? And are they transparent? So it's that third-party review. There also are other benefits. As far as marketing the city's priority redevelopment sites, we're actually updating our Opportunity Michigan guidebook, or book of properties right now. And we'd like to get the city's top three properties included in that. And we've been marketing those properties across the country, not just to developers in Michigan, but to developers across the United States that maybe haven't done projects in Michigan yet but are interested. So that's another benefit. We also our certified communities will also receive priority points for funding for MEDC and MISHDA. So as the pot of money continuously shrinks, certification and certified communities become more important every single day. So those are just some of the benefits. And also, we want this to be a working relationship. We don't just give you the report and say, best of luck, go ahead and complete all of those items, and then we'll talk to you when you're finished. Once you adopt that second resolution to proceed, we do have technical assistance dollars available to help implement some of the items that you're missing. We really want to encourage communities to work towards certification, so we do have that available. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I guess questions? A lot of information.
Just one softball question for
Sure.
you. For the first time through, how do we rate with other communities that you
I would
have worked
say
with?
you are definitely in the top half as far as, I haven't done like a comparison of everybody coming out, but the major items like the master plan, those are in really good shape. It just needs a couple of little tweaks to assist with implementation, and the zoning is the key. You guys have a great zoning ordinance. I think that many communities do not have that. And it's unusual to see a community, especially a small community, with such a strong marketing and branding plan. We rarely see that, if ever. So that is where you're really kind of ahead of the game. I think once you get those sites available for redevelopment packaged, that'll really move you forward towards certification.
Oh, thank you.
Sure. Any other questions?
How were the timelines? I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor. How were the timelines? For the projects established? Was that something top-down method? Was that negotiated with the planner of the city? How did we arrive at those dates?
Oh, as far as
The 15 months to implement.
we just kind of, those are absolutely estimates.
Okay.
So it was just, this is the timeline we think that maybe you can get these completed. As long as we see that the city is making progress as you move forward, those timelines are fluid, and it's not a date, you have to have it done by.
Okay. And the marketing program that you spoke of earlier, how is that different from, what we would do on a local level? Can you go into a little more detail on that?
Sure, as far as marketing the sites?
Yes, marketing the 3 sites. How do you do it differently?
So we've been promoting our sites at different conferences that we go to. So we work with the Urban Land Institute, and Jennifer, our program manager, has gone to their national conference, and then as well as some local Michigan conferences, and we promote them there. The Building Michigan Communities Conference, we promote sites at that conference, as well as the Michigan Association of Planning Conference coming up here this week. So we'll be promoting our communities there. We also use Zoom Prospector to market sites, and that's an online tool, as well as OpSites, which is another newer online tool for marketing of sites. We also work with a lot of developers. We do have developers that sit on our advisory council and help kind of guide the program. So we're talking to them all of the time. And we do developer matchmaking events in some of our communities where we have set up, it's kind of a local sell yourself to developers and give an opportunity for the community to explain why it would be great to develop there, and then we invite developers to tour the city and tour those available redevelopment sites. So those are just some of the ways that we've been marketing.
Okay, and then the criteria, did I understand correctly that the criteria was basically through interviews with planners throughout the state? Do you use cities of similar sizes?
To establish the criteria,
Yes,
the best practices?
Yeah, the best practice.
We work with our advisory council, which is made up of public, private sector experts, and they help us develop the best practices. And then we evaluate each community in the program to that set of best practices.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
I took a little bit of time over the weekend to peruse a little bit slower through some of this stuff, but there's still certainly more than I could read. But it looks as though some of the items that were yellow, I would say, and maybe other members of staff would look and say, wow, we have that. But so are some of the ones that are yellow that we need to improve on? We have it. It's just not documented well, or it's not packaged the way that you.
Yeah, a lot of it is internal documentation, and we always say it's for succession planning. So every community does things differently, and then we like to say now. So say maybe Adam wins the lottery and moves on. How would the next person coming in know how he, ran through projects and how he got projects off the ground? So it's really about that internal documentation. A lot of the time, that's where a lot of the areas that are marked yellow would be, just in documenting that internal process.
And the other thing I had that was just when you see something that's this comprehensive, and there are so many other advisors and regulations and whatnot for what we're supposed to do with the governor's thing and the whatnot. Have you ever found where anything that you're asking communities to do is somewhat contradictory to what some other governmental facility is asking us to do as well, or does it all kind of fit in?
It all kind of fits in. We're looking at, a lot of these requirements are from the Planning Enabling Act and the Zoning Enabling Act. Those are kind of the bare minimums. We're asking communities to definitely go a step above that bare minimum. For certification purposes, we really want communities to be going above and beyond. But we do follow, a lot of the language in our best practices comes right from those enabling acts.
Okay.
I gotta give you one other example though. So at the end of the day, I think Michelle did a nice job on touching on kind of the priorities that the state of Michigan is looking at in terms of this being a high priority for communities that are really being progressive, as not only just, I think, our resources are being scrutinized in other departments as well. So by moving through this, I think you're already starting to see that in a couple projects that we have going on locally, where they've been supported even more so in Lansing through our leadership because of